Well, my cousin had just passed away. I think I believe she was 56, the cancer. I didn't know what to put for a thumbnail, so. So the cover you see, the thumbnail is my niece's book about broken blood, which is talking about hemophilia, but really it's about, um, to me, it's like the broken family. Now, I first talked about my cousin when I was talking about the family dinner and um, uh, the Thanksgiving. So my mom had just sent me a text a few minutes ago saying that my cousin was in the hospital and passed away. It was stage 4 cancer. I'm not certain what cancer it is, and I'm not sure if it could have been avoided. I don't think it. They could have been. Now, when I go to my doctor's for my 50th birthday, she warns me about the colon cancer and all that. So I made it a point to not drink or smoke or do drugs as DuckTales, as Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Alf tell you in the cartoon. But, staying away from most alcohol and cigarettes. I try to keep myself in good shape. Now, there were many opportunities for me to have spoken to my cousin in the last few years. I decided not to because I didn't like the attitudes of my family. Now, I want to make this clear. Nobody deserves to go through cancer. But aside from that, um, it's just difficult to talk to people when they're so set in their ways. You know what I mean? It's like the first people I lost. Well, the first person I remember losing was my great grandmother. And I remember my oldest sister. My oldest sister right now is going to be 58. Okay? 58 years old. And when she was 20 years old, when she was starting college after she went to an all girls Catholic school, she's just started college at Cal State University. Maybe she was working at Fedco, whichever. She walked into my grandmother's house and found my great grandmother dead on an ironing board. I don't remember going to her funeral, but I do remember that being the first person. I barely remembered her. And my mom's mom, my grandmother. So when those people were gone, my grandmother, all my grandparents before were dead. And then my great grandmother being my dad's mom's mom, but I barely remembered her. That was kind of quote unquote normal for the grandparents to die, right? Because at that time, I think my great grandmother Marietta was in her 70s or so, late 60s, early 70s. I think she was about maybe 20 plus years older than my grandmother, and way older than my dad. My dad at that time was in his 40s. Um, when my brothers died, I remember my mom asking the question, if God was good, why did he allow my sons to die? And I honestly, it's hard to move around. I honestly don't have the answer to that. I'm not religious, so for those of you who say seek Jesus, sorry, I'm not going to seek Jesus or Allah or Yahweh. I try to find my own answers to these life questions, but it's not Jesus or God or the Christian God or the Catholic God or Allah or the Buddhist God, whatever. I don't go to religions. Okay, I've been to Catholic school, I've been to Christian school, so I didn't fit into that atmosphere. But I will say that losing my two brothers, my first brother died before I was even born. I never even got to meet him. And my second died. He was pale, he had bruises all over. The AIDS virus was a death sentence, and he had just bones sticking out. Okay. And I had picked on him so much that I wish I could have gone back in time and fixed things. But it wasn't meant to be. I remember he had a girlfriend in Braille Institute. Then my cousin died, my cousin Gabriel. My cousin Gabriel was a piece of shit. And he was always kind of hanging around the gangs and fixing cars. He was too cool for school. And that was a problem. Then my father died at the age, well, my grandmother died. My dad's mom, who was the last of my grandparents, at the age of 82. That was 1999. Then I remember cousin Danny and his mother came to the funeral. My dad would not let them stay over at my grandmother's house where she died. Wasn't going to happen. And then the next person was my father, who died 3 years later, and I was 24. Then my second sister, Marlo, had allegedly committed suicide, though I think her husband, who is a sheriff, had a hand in that. That's just my feeling about it. I think Marlo was very sick. I think she had problems. I think she had mental problems. I think she had physical problems. I think she had realized that my mom wasn't going to let her in her life anymore after my mom moved out and I moved into this house after older people left. And then we lost other distant relatives, but eventually now we get to my cousin. And I think she was the oldest between Christina, Elva. Elva died at 50, did I say 56, right? Something like that. Christina is, I think she's 54. She's in her early 50s. So I'm keeping track of everybody. Memo was a cholo back then. He's in his 60s now, I think. I'm pretty sure he is. No, he's almost 60. He's almost 60. A lot of people have come and gone. I've lost a lot of people. So trust me when I tell you, I do understand what death is. There was nothing, I don't know if there was anything I remember Fran Drescher had a book about the ways you could prevent cancer. They're not foolproof, but they were ways that, you took better care of yourself. All I know is that, besides not putting styrofoam cups in microwaves, besides not smoking or not using harsh chemicals or the foods you eat, tabbed soda, or those weird sugars that have the cancer in those packets. I'm not sure what else my cousin could have done. I'm not sure what anyone would have done. But it doesn't bring us closer together. I remember when my father died, everybody was fighting over his stuff. Everybody was fighting over his stuff. There was this neat thing that my dad had, was just a Magellan, where you plotted a point. This was before the GPS, and he had this, and my family members already got it before I did. And the only thing I have in my dad's is an umbrella. That's it. And a gold ring that my mom tried to take for herself. This family has fallen apart. However, I will say, if there are family members that you have not seen in a long time, that you haven't seen in years, that maybe you can mend things with before they're gone, try to do that. Please try to do that. I don't think Elba and I, about Elba, she had two husbands, okay? I remember her first husband, an Asian man, and I quickly saw him and he was quickly gone. But this was when my cousin Gabriel had his 10th birthday in 1987, I guess, 88. I think he was 10 years old in 87. Then we get to her second husband, Ephraim, who I saw a couple of times. I don't know. I think he had a thing for, his brother-in-law's daughter, who was not yet 18. I don't know at all. But years later, when I saw my cousin again in 2018 and 2019, okay? But she separated from her husband, and their son is with the husband. So the son is with the dad, and she was by herself. So that tells you there's some problems, okay? But she had different jobs, working at insurance companies, working at clinics, working different places, okay? she was a beautiful woman, but the problem with her was that she had these sort of delusions of grandeur that were easily mixed up like Jehovah's Witness, programs and things. And I if you ever watch Chris Stuckman, you already know how you should be feeling about that. And then my aunt was very religious and kind of talked down to me too. So between Elba and her mom talking down to people about religion when they themselves made serious mistakes in their lives, I'm not sad. I am hurt because we're just dying off as a family. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. This just happened. This is kind of breaking news, and the only thing I can say is that I wish we could have, rest in peace, Alba. I wish we could have fixed things in this family, but without physical violence, without abuse, without verbal abuse, without people trying to control each other, there is no family. And we can't get past ourselves to find better and do better. We're just trying to control each other, and this is what happens. We end up dying off. And I think the reason my dad died, who, as abusive as he was because he couldn't fit in a modern world where you had to adjust or evolve or you die. You evolve or you die. So, I don't know who else I would talk to in this family, but I think my youngest sister, who is in her 50s, probably sees this channel. If you do, understand that I'm not going to change for anybody but myself. Don't change for anyone else. Do what you got to do. Do what you do for you. And maybe we'll get along on fuck off terms. Maybe we'll smoke a joint. We can smoke joints now in this state. Just, I'm sick and tired of the wound up tight atmosphere this family has done. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is my family. This is the right I have. If you don't like it, you can go off my channel. But these are the feelings that are honest feelings that I have kind of come to terms with in these seconds that have ticked since I learned. I mean, it's 7:24 in the night, and even though there's daylight, my mom gave me these news about more than 10 minutes ago. So, or probably 15 or more. Just after 7. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. There'll be some happy videos later on. All right.